that God is righteous, you also know that everyone who acts in righteousness is begotten by Him. I was struck by this, the beginning of the first reading from the letter of St. John. Yesterday we reflected on abiding in Jesus, that we are invited to abide in Jesus. Today, the declaration that God is righteous reminds us of a very foundational teaching for us Christians. This is far more than a statement of divine attribute. It is the foundation and blueprint for the Christian life. God is righteous. This righteousness is God's perfect moral character, His absolute holiness, justice, and fidelity to His own nature and promises. Because God is righteous, so we can rely on Him. The verse's profound implication is that our right living is not the cause. Our right living is not the cause, but the evidence of our relationship with Him. Again, yesterday we are invited to abide in Jesus. If you know that He is righteous, you may be sure that everyone who practices righteousness has been born of Him. I think this is a very deep and strong message for us. This truth delivers two transformative messages for our daily walk. First, it reorients our source and motivation. We do not strive to be good to earn God's favor. Rather, because we are already accepted as His children, born of Him, we are empowered to reflect His family likeness. Our righteousness is a responsive imitation flowing from a transformed heart. It shifts our effort from anxious self-justification to grateful participation in God's own character, in God's own life. Second, my dear sisters and brothers, it defines our practice and purpose. To practice righteousness is to actively align our actions, decisions, and relationships with God's good and just will. It is ethical, involving integrity, honesty, and compassion. It is social, advocating for justice and mercy in our communities. It is relational, offering forgiveness and seeking peace. This practice is not a sporadic achievement, but a consistent pattern, the visible fruit of an invisible spiritual rebirth. So we have been baptized and we have been reborn in Jesus. And when we celebrate Christmas, the birth of Jesus, we are also reminded of our rebirth, reborn in Jesus. Ultimately, this reflection calls us away from a shallow, rule-based religion to a dynamic, lineage-based life. Knowing God as righteous means we are called to a life that visibly, practically, and increasingly mirrors that righteousness in the world. Our daily challenge and comfort is this: we are invited to participate in the very nature of God, not by our straining, but by living out the identity He has graciously given us. So as Christians, we are called to abide in Jesus and to live like God itself, like God Himself. God has chosen us to be the followers of Jesus Christ, and we are baptized so that we are able to participate in the very nature of God by living out the identity He has graciously given us. Now let us pray and ask God that in our daily lives we always remember this, that our righteousness is part of God's righteousness.